Hi guys, Teresa Joy. I'm just following up on the report I did about the White House burying a study about poisoned drinking water. And I had mentioned that I interviewed a woman whose sister is living near a plant, a 3M plant, where the same chemical that is in this report that the White House is trying to hide, or that the White House is hiding from people, the chemical is PFOA and PFOS. I have an interview right now with a woman whose sister is disabled because they live next to a 3M plant where these chemicals are being put out into the water, and her sister is one of the victims, as well as many people in her neighborhood. So if you haven't seen that report in full, please check that out. Again, it's about the White House burying a report about poisoned drinking water. But right now, here is my interview with someone who is suffering the real effects of being poisoned by these toxic chemicals.
So she is 25 years old and for her whole life has worn diapers. She does not speak in any way. Like, she makes sounds, but it's not anything like communicable. She has her feet are sort of deformed, and so she walks with a strange gait. She is autistic and like highly she makes this sound like a siren, like you don't know if it's a fire engine coming down the road or Becky. So I grew up in Buffalo's Riverside neighborhood, really close, like a block away from the border of the city of Tonawanda. The city of Tonawanda is where all of like Tonawanda Coke and DuPont and like a lot of chemical and like coal processing and nasty stuff factories are. I grew up around the corner, and my sisters, I have two sisters, they're twins. One of my sisters is totally like neurologically and physically able, and my other sister is not. So she has this like form of disability that we don't know what it is, and like we've done a lot of genetic testing and DNA and all this stuff. They can't figure it out. And yeah, so she doesn't eat solid food. So, and she's completely dependent on my parents, and like will be dependent on me like when my parents die eventually. But I think that it has something to do with these factories, because my whole life I grew up like around in this neighborhood. We were really a big part of it, and there are just so many people with like developmental disabilities in like this particular part of Riverside that I feel like is really not normal. And they're like, you know, there are some people like there's one man who has Down syndrome, and so that's like something, you know, like that's just a random thing that happens. But then there are a lot of people that like are like mentally delayed and like have physical things. A lot of my family members that grew up in Riverside like died of cancer, like and so yeah, it just seems like something is going on.
Whereas like, and you said there was 2 blocks where people don't even live because they're so close to the factory?
Yeah. My mother's family lived for like 50 years in a house like right here, so literally around the corner. Right here, so I lived here. All of this is industrial. Like, there's a charter school here on Kenmore Ave, but all of this is industrial. There's a rubber plant. DuPont is like over here. So like no one lives here. You see, like people, like this is the only like little neighborhood. There's a Boys and Girls Club on this side of Vulcan. But yeah, so nobody lives here, and I lived a block away.
Oh shit!
My whole life, and so I went to a church. Like my whole family went to All Saints Church, which is on Esser here. Esser, like right here. So we were like, Riverside is big, but like we were really involved in like this chunk of the neighborhood, because that's where most of the Catholics in the neighborhood went to church, and like there are just so many people that had disabilities. So like even if you zoom out more, like you see all of that. No one lives here. And then if you go up further, like these are even more like,
Yeah.
you know, this is where yeah, like Tonawanda is right there, and it's like right downwind. It's like less than a mile away.
I wonder if they're actually dumping stuff in the water. Not only the pollutants coming out of the factory, the air, but what's going into the water.
Right. And the land, right? Like people, this neighborhood was built so that people can work in these factories, and like no one works in those factories, or like people in this neighborhood don't work in those factories anymore. But like we have all like breathed and drank and played in the dirt. Like my mother lived. I think we moved out of Riverside when I was 17. So she lived there for like close to 40 years.
Wow, that's scary. Whew.
So a lot of people that have always lived in Riverside have died. People like move out, or they're moving like into. There's a lot of immigrants and refugees that are moving into parts of Riverside now, and like. But I mean, I think that it's like a problem all over. But like, I would really be interested to see this stretch between like Essard and Vulcan, between Tonawanda Street and Kenmore Avenue, just like this kind of 20-block radius.